Hello, everybody. My name is Jo Delamore, and I'm zooming in today from the fertile green land of the ancient Adena mound-building peoples in an area that became the homelands of the Shawnee people and other eastern tribes as European colonization pushed indigenous people west through what is now known as Southeast rural Ohio in the United States. I'm delighted to welcome you on behalf of the Work That Reconnects Network. Thank you so much for joining us for the Webinar and Conversation Cafe program, where we are providing a wide range of rich educational and supportive online events for our global Work That Reconnects community. Our intention is to strengthen the web of community while reaching beyond its current edges to weave deeper connections with others who are contributing to the great turning in diverse and complementary ways. Today, we're feeling very blessed to welcome Margaret Wheatley for Islands of Sanity, Cultivating Community in the Midst of Collapse. She is a speaker, a teacher, consultant, advisor, a formal leader, a co-founder and president of the Berkana Institute, and the author of 13 books. She has considered herself a global citizen since her youth and has been committed to caring for the world and its people since her time as a Peace Corps volunteer in 1966 post-war Korea. Over the decades, her work has deepened into an unshakable conviction that leaders must learn how to invoke people's inherent generosity, creativity, and need for community. She believes that as this world tears us apart, sane leadership on behalf of the human spirit is the only way forward. Through these decades of dedication to care of our world, she has also been a creative collaborator with and a dear friend of Joanna Macy. So we are so happy to welcome you today, Meg.
Well, thank you. This is a very blessed event. And the evidence for that is that this is an enormous synchronicity. We planned the date for this. We started talking months and months ago, and then we settled on early August after the different meetings and convenings were happening. And then Joanna passed on the 19th. And we are now also going to have a celebration of her life this coming Tuesday. And for me, it's a perfect opportunity to encourage all of us in how we are going to carry on and embody this beautiful work that Joanna gifted us with. And I'm going to speak a lot more about that. But when Joe and I were talking about doing this, she expressed her experience of what was happening since Joanna's passing and the time leading up to it. And because I'm going to be speaking about the importance of gathering with a sense of interbeingness, I've asked Joe to please share that experience with us. And let's just relish this opportunity that we have been brought together just at this right moment. And that's synchronicities are always a sign that other energies, guardians, intelligences are with us and are making things work better because of them. So, Joe, please share that beautiful experience.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Meg. Yeah, it has been incredible to be in the position of paying attention and being able to pay attention with thousands of other people around the world over these last several weeks. And many of you may have participated in the Caring Bridge and seen the post that Joanna's family was making. And then also from our vantage point at the network, we've gotten to interface with people all over, different groups of people in Asia, in Latin America, in Europe, in the United States, who are praying and paying very close attention as in a vigil during the last weeks of her life. And then through and sharing teachings and sharing our perspectives of what was happening. And so through her passing, I had a very palpable experience of her being released into deeper belonging. So this kind of concept of like not ending and leaving, but coming in more fully present in all of the places and in all of our relationships. And speaking of synchronicities, her passing happened very close to the passing of Andrea Gibson, who was a really gifted poet that some people may know. And um, Andrea shared, dying is the opposite of leaving. When I left my body, I did not go away. The portal of light was not a portal to elsewhere, but a portal to here. I am more here than I ever was before. I am more with you than I could have ever imagined. So close that you may look past me when wondering where I am. And I feel that as like what Joanna is, like she's so much more here. So thank you, Meg, for connecting in that way.
Well, a movement into belonging. I want to give more uh, understanding or cause to that sense. Joanna and I shared a Tibetan Buddhist practice, so I'm speaking from that training and tradition right now. We are prepared for death. That's the whole point of all Buddhist practice, is to make the transition to an awakened mind. And we really do train for that very, very carefully and daily practice, even. When I visited Joanna one time in Berkeley, which I did several times, she took me down to her office, which was a separate building down the stairs off of her kitchen. And she, with great glee, pointed out to me her coffin, which was right at the end of her desk, a simple wooden coffin. And that was her daily reminder of, we pass on. This is a finite time here, but it's not the end of our energy. It's not the end of our intelligence. And I pointed out to Joe earlier that we are taught that when we leave the body, our tendencies, our abilities of mind are 7 times stronger. So today we are very consciously, I'm going to ask you in several different ways to connect with Joanna, knowing as I know that she is richly available to us, no longer contained or imprisoned in a body that needed attention, that was, And the other thing I want to point out is that what Joe just described as an experience of interbeing is an experience of what my new work is, of fields. Now, fields are energy sources that we create through how we are together. If we come into a group meeting in our usual way, it's very personal. I would say it's very egotistical. I don't mean that as an entirely negative thing, but we're focused on getting known to the group, right? We identify ourselves, we give our history, we may talk about why we're there. All of these are very familiar processes that I've taught for decades, but no more. And today we're going to experiment with a new way of entering this group. A field is a source, is created from our contribution to one another by our willingness to get past our self-protective needs to be seen, to be respected, to be visible. And we're going to enter together into this exploration by creating our first approach. This is an experiment, folks. I mean, we'll see how it works. We have 155 people here. So it's all about your interest and willingness to enter into this 2 hours and see what we can create when we are focused not on what I need, but on what I want to contribute. Fields have an incredible potency that in a field of co-learning, of honest, open, respectful exchanges. Now, we're not going to do this here, but I want to lay out uh, this description of a field. This is the central focus of my work right now, trying to change how we are together, because when you create a field, what becomes present for you is wisdom that you could not have created yourself. We call that emergent wisdom. It was not visible until we were in relationship. So I want to state the importance of this work because I know from what Joanna gave us, and just think about her for a moment. I was thinking about it this morning. Joanna gave us the world. She woke us up to the possibility that we could handle the pain of the world, even in its extreme form now. She also taught us that our grief is a measure of our love. This world needs more and more of our loving contribution and our loving presence with one another. That's so critical at this time. So she introduced us to the world, made us think about being unafraid of the pain of the world, but as the pain grows in intensity, that's a real challenge for us. She taught us that our grief was unavoidable because we love. And so even now when I'm not grieving her. I think she had an incredible life, and now she's off into her next bodhisattva adventure. But grief generally, grief for what's happening now in Gaza and in Ukraine and in Sudan and in the United States, that grief is evidence of our love. And let's just stay with that truth. She also gave us the Shambhala warrior prophecy, and that's been the basis of my work. I will speak about that in more detail. So the prophecy predicts the pain of the world that we are now experiencing, the collapse of just about everything we love. So Joanna's presence here for me is it's a great gift, but it's also a great motivation for us to realize that going forward, we need to be together differently. We can no longer come into groups wherever we are with our well-trained extraction mentality of what do I need to get? What's in it for me? Now, I believe that most of us here have wanted to let go of that self-focus. We want to offer ourselves and our work. And we're going to speak about gifts in a little while. But the whole dynamic of groups and of our work now is becoming more and more self-protective because we're in greater fear. And you cannot help but be self-protective when you're working from the reptilian amygdala brain. It's all about survival. So when I now have shifted my work to wanting to understand the power, not of groups, but of fields, I realize this is the route forward of how we not only support one another, but listen carefully here, how we develop from our co-learning emergent wisdom that can serve us now. How do we raise to a whole different level of awareness and competence and confidence in choosing what we're going to do? My maxim for all my teachings is we need to see clearly so we can act wisely. And I have only in the past few months discovered the wisdom that's available when we are together with devotion, with respect, with curiosity. And then new wisdom opens up in astonishing ways. So what we're going to do right now is start our brief experiment. How much awareness can we develop, and how much awareness of others and awareness of, if I contribute and don't act from self-protection, if I let go of some of my needs, what becomes possible even in this wonderful gathering of 151 people devoted to Joanna Macy's work and her legacy. So I'd like you all to sit comfortably. And there are two questions posted in the chat. We're going to spend 3 minutes listening to incredible bird song music that those of you who know Rupert Sheldrake and morphogenic fields and all, he's still going full blast with trying to bend science to a new way of thinking. But he has 2 sons. I think he must be so proud as a father. We're going to listen to his musician son, Cosmo. And Cosmo Sheldrake is worth looking up. But this is a piece of his called Dawn Chorus of Birdsong and his musicality. His other son is Merlin Sheldrake, who wrote a book called Entangled Life that I highly recommend about understanding what interconnectedness really means on this planet. So please think about these 2 questions. Just take a place, sit comfortably, but erect. Don't be distracted. You can close your eyes or just tune into this music. And it's 3 minutes long. And the questions for you to just surface in a contemplative way. How is Joanna alive in me right now? Right now, right now. And what do I want to contribute today? Not what do I need to take, but what do I want to offer? Okay, and then we'll come back, but just enjoy this process. Now, while you're in wherever you are, tune in not to your own experience, but to this energy, this energetic field we began to create. Just tune in for a moment, maybe go on gallery and just look at one another. Why don't we do that? Just take a look now in gallery mode of who's here. Just enjoy one another's presence. We don't know what each of us identified as Joanna's presence. We don't know how each of us wants to contribute today, but I'm asking you to sense into now what this field feels like. So as you look at one another, just notice in your body, notice it can be a tone, it can be a feeling, it can be a sensation. And just enjoy that for a moment, okay? When we're in smaller groups, you can do a lot with this, but what I was hoping to do with this was to establish a different frequency, a different feeling, a different rhythm. Hopefully you experience that as kind of perky, if not just purely joyful, but certainly not deep meditative music. So let's just offer a thanks to everyone, a silent thank you for being here. Everyone who's here, just offer your thanks. All right, thank you. Thank you all. So I want to speak more deeply about the great gift that Joanna gave me, which I was trying to remember. I think it was we began being together in 1998 at the Fetzer Institute when we were together planning for Y2K. So I realized that was our first catastrophe planning session. And I remember Joanna leading us in a beautiful, beautiful dance and all. But what she gave to me at that time was what her Tibetan teacher had given to her, which is the Shambhala prophecy. I'm going to read just a small piece of it, but I was reflecting that I have included this prophecy in, I think, my last 5 books. This is my second most recent book, Who Do We Choose to Be? About claiming our leadership, waking up to what's going on in the world, claiming our leadership, and restoring sanity. You can find all details about these books on my website. But again, just sit now in whatever sense you're in, whatever quality of presence you can muster. And let's just understand this. The Shambhala warrior prophecy. Now, I am also part of the Shambhala Buddhist community founded by Chogyam Trungpa. So I came in at this at 2 different angles, both of which have made it possible for me to do my work, which is training warriors, spiritual warriors, warriors for the human spirit. This Shambhala warrior prophecy came from her teacher, Chogyam Rinpoche, when she was in with him, I think, in Tibet. And he gave this to her as her life's work, that you must make this prophecy known. And she did. The prophecy comes from the kingdom of Shambhala, which was known to be a true place. I mean, my Tibetan teacher said, yeah, this really existed. It's not just a nice thinking of the mind. And it was a place where everyone woke up, everyone awakened. Just what we need now, probably not going to happen in time, but the Shambhala beings, the people from there, then issued this prophecy. Please just listen. There comes a time when all life on earth is in danger. Great barbarian powers have arisen. Although these powers spend their wealth in preparations to annihilate one another, they have much in common. Weapons of unfathomable destructive power and technologies that lay waste to the world. In this era, when the future of sentient life hangs in the balance, hangs by the frailest of threads, the kingdom of Shambhala emerges. The prophecy went on to describe, as Joanna said, the weapons, which was a word that set her back. It always sets people back. Even the word warrior still sets people back, to which my counsel is just get over that piece. We are in a spiritual battle at this time. But the weapons of the Shambhala warriors are twofold: compassion and insight. And you can't have one without the other. If you have just compassion, which too many of us suffer from, we go out and we want to do something. We're desperate to find ways to right wrongs, to reverse the trajectory of collapse that we're on, to fix things still. And that kind of compassion leads to where many of us have been or are: exhaustion, overwhelm, cynicism, despair, because we still only have compassion. It's been titled idiot compassion in a way that's quite meaningful to me, which is just thinking, I'm just going to give, 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 give. I must give. I have no choice but to give. There is so much wrong with the world. I must give. And then where does it end up? So we need the second weapon, which is discernment, clear seeing, clear perception, expanded perception, so that we truly see the causes of what's happening and we see the dynamics that have been set in motion that cannot be stopped. You don't stop dynamics once they're in motion. We tried and we couldn't succeed there. So with insight into the very nature of being and interbeing and oneness and our relationship with all beings on this planet and beyond, with that kind of discernment, then we can take our open, aching, grieving hearts and find good work for us to do. That work now is local. It's never going to feel like it's enough because we still want to save the world in some way. But the Shambhala warriors come forth, and one part of the prophecy that is so meaningful to me is that we are inside the halls of power. So we know where this terrorizing activity and cruel behavior is coming from. Some of us are still inside those halls of power, and that's where we can exhibit our great courage and clarity that I am here to restore sanity. And what is sanity? Sanity for me is clearly everything and anything that creates more life and more possibility. Insanity, which has taken over the planet with this cruel, appalling leadership. Insanity is that which destroys life and destroys the means for us to continue to live on this planet. So the Shambhala warrior prophecy is now acknowledged by Tibetan teachers. Yes, this is the time. Maybe it's from the 11th century. I have a feeling it's much older than that from what my teacher said, but this is a role for us to play now, to really understand that Joanna gave us the world. She gave us a path forward of dealing with the pain, our strong emotional reactions at this point. She gave us an understanding of grief. We're always going to be grieving now. Warriors are always sad because we see clearly and we see the pain of the world. And we want more than anything to reverse what's going on, but we cannot. If you want more about this, this has been what I've been teaching and preaching now for about 8 years. So this is something you just have to come to terms with. The Shambhala prophecy is real. We are at this point of barbarian powers. If you just look at budgets everywhere, governments are investing in the military now and in weapons of greater and greater destruction, using AI, using robots for war. It's terrifying until you decide to claim this role. I am a Shambhala warrior. And that means that I will do my very best locally with the people around me to offer what I can. Now, President Theodore Roosevelt said a long, long time ago, I think this is a great mantra, do what you can where you are with what you have. Do what you can where you are with what you have. And
Yes, Steve. Yeah.
Somebody do what you can where you are with what you have. This is our work. And this is how Joanna's life's work lives in us. So there'd be a lot more to say, but you can find out a lot more about warriorship and what it means to be a warrior for the human spirit. But one of the deeper questions here, and I'm going to shift now and speak about how we know we were made for these times. So it's not just the prophecy, but it is, how do we know that we weren't made to suffer, but we were made to contribute? We weren't made to withdraw and isolate ourselves as the only way to soothe our agonizing emotions. No, we were made to contribute. And um, Clarissa Pinkola Estes has written quite a lot about this time. And she said, do not lose heart. We were made for these times. For years, we have been learning, practicing. We've been in training for this. And we are just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. For years, we have been learning, practicing, and been in training for this, and we are just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. Here we are. We're together right now on this exact plane of engagement. I want to say one thing about gifts. I gave a whole course in which we this past spring, in which we identified what our gifts were. And then we saw, oh yeah, those are highly relevant gifts. So I'm just going to quickly take you through a process, and then we're actually going to speak with one another. Please don't leave. We're building a community here. We're building a field. So it's good to participate in all aspects. How do we know what our gifts are? And this is not ego work. This is, as Parker Palmer said many years ago, they who deny their gifts deny the giver. They who deny their gifts deny the giver. Whatever your cosmology, whatever your faith, whatever your theology, our gifts come from elsewhere. You know, Viktor Frankl had a whole logotherapy on meaning precedes being. I'm giving you a lot of things to think about. Okay, I did this over 3 months. So this is just the headline version of things for you to really contemplate. Meaning precedes being. And then how we make use of that meaning, how we identify that meaning is our life's journey. But we do share, whatever your theology is, please think about, you know this, you didn't make yourself up, right? So now we're in the discernment of, okay, what are my gifts? What was I given? And again, these are things we're going to talk about it in triads in a minute, but think about one gift that you didn't know was a gift because it came so easily to you, and somebody else noticed it back to you. So somebody said to you, you know, you're a really good listener. Or somebody said back to you, I like being with you because you're so open, or you're so generous, or I've liked the way you think. You seem to really get the big picture very easily. Now, when these are gifts, we didn't know that anybody else was struggling with those, right? They came, this is one of the little ironies here. Things that come easy to us, we normally assume, well, everyone is that way. Everyone sees the big picture. Everyone is generous, or this is not a unique skill to me. Well, it is. And the way you notice it is because somebody drew your attention to it. So before we go into the small groups, I'd like to give you just a minute or two to think about what is a gift of yours, or maybe two, that you discovered because somebody noticed it back to you. And we'll just take some, maybe 90 seconds here for you to just start to tune in to what was that gift. So Rachel, I'm going to change the question in the chat for the small groups, is to just talk about these gifts that you heard from others that surprised you. What was one gift that surprised you by being noticed by someone else? And now, for all of you, we're going to go into groups of 3. Now, this is your chance to offer and to contribute from a different awareness that, yeah, we're together here. Not from what I need you to know about me, but from what becomes possible when we are together. So the 2 questions are, and we'll have 20 minutes for this. I like giving groups good time to go deep together. So the first question is, what gifts were you surprised by that you had to learn from another person, an outsider who saw them clearly and you just thought they were easy? And the second one is to please relate this to, if you can think now of how Joanna's teachings, the gifts she gave you, might now strengthen you going forward. How Joanna's gifts that you received, whatever they are, I received the gift of the Shambhala warrior prophecy, but whatever you receive from her, how might those gifts from Joanna strengthen you now? All right, and we'll take 20 minutes for this. So please just relish being together.
Oh, let's stop that.
Yeah,
Where it'll
let's
be
just
coming from, okay?
take it. Make sure you're muted, please.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, some of you I can see are not. I know the pullback can sometimes be jarring and you may be in mid-conversation.
Of course, you were interrupted, but so as I explained a bit about Shambhala warriorship, spiritual warriorship, warriors for the human spirit, I just gave you quick headlines on that. And there's so much more to discover. But what I can do right now, and I want to do, is give you a practice that is an essential warrior practice, and it is called taking your seat. And so this is going to be like a guided meditation as well. So please put anything down and get yourself seated. This is called taking your seat. So please get yourself seated in your seat right now with your feet on the ground and your back as comfortably erect as possible. And I'm going to give you the long version, and then I'll explain how you can use this in like a nanosecond to reclaim your presence and your grounding. But it's great warrior practice. Okay, so are you sitting comfortably now? But with a sense of presence. Let's just feel that presence. So to feel that you are grounded in your seat, in your butt, just start circling and do it clockwise. That's working with energy positively. And just start circling and then gradually bring the circle in so it's smaller and smaller and smaller, and then let it come to rest at the base of your spine. That's your center point for this practice. All right, and then just gently feel you're creating more space in your spine by just in your mind even, but maybe physically is good if you could do it, just gradually raising yourself. This is a position, a posture of groundedness, but also of strength. Our spines, and I speak from having terrible back issues, but our spines are here to support us. Okay, so just feel that uprightness. That's dignity. And now, if you'll close your eyes, please, and be fully present, please go to your feet and feel their presence on the earth. It doesn't matter where you are. Earth energy is incredibly powerful. And we are going to welcome in the ever-present, ever-generous earth energy now by opening the soles of our feet in our minds and opening our soul energy as well. And from that opening, just again, this is all working with mind. Welcome in the earth energy. Welcome it in, greet it gladly. The earth wants to support us, and we ignore her in every way. But in this way, we are developing an energetic relationship. So let that energy now rise up through your feet, through your aching ankles, through the lower part of the leg, your calves. Let that earth energy, you're working with your mind. You don't have to feel it physically. It's in your mind. Let that earth energy come up and let it take a moment to soothe your knees. And then keep letting the mother energy come up through your thighs and into your very grounded butt, into your seat. Just allow that energy there. And then let earth energy rise up through your abdomen, through your stomach, and let it come to rest happily in your heart chakra, the center of your chest. Just enjoy that for a moment. It's always available. That's Mother Earth. But we also have Father Sky. And Father Sky is the air, the space all around us. And that space is luminous. It's filled with this vibrant blue energy. Just tune into it. Native Americans in ceremony wait for blue lights to appear. I've been in these experiences. The blue light of Father Sky, which is filled with energy for creativity and power. Now, gently open your crown chakra and welcome in this vibrant blue energy. Let it bathe your skull. Just imagine this gorgeous, vibrant blue light. And let it just really, this troubled, overactive mind, let it just bathe it. And then bring this energy into your neck and into our shoulders, where we hold so much tension. just let it rest there and offer you energy. And then bring that strong, luminous blue energy down through your throat and let it happily meet Mother Earth energy in a sacred union of earth and sky, mother and father energies. Now, from this place, tune into your body right now. Just tune in, sense how you feel. And know that this energy is always here. We're the ones who have to invite it in. We are not alone in any way in this world, and we are not the sole sources of energy. It's not up to us to just struggle to make things happen or to struggle with rousing our energy. It's not up to us. We are in partnership. This is a way of calling on our very willing, eager partners for energy. And now if you can just gently come back with your attention, I want to tell you of some very simple ways to use this. This is the ultimate grounding, and it's present. It's called taking my seat, which is a claim that I am willing to be here. I am willing to be present. I want to be here. And it's an opening. And it takes maybe some courage to declare yourself so fully that I'm willing to be here. I'm willing to be courageous, open, compassionate, and insightful. And you can do this in a second. If you're in a meeting and you're losing your grounding, just quickly, just in a flash, take your seat, which means you just sit up, you open, and boom, you're more present. If you're driving and you start to feel anxious, you can do it while you're driving. If you're in a very difficult conversation with someone, you can do it then. It's a momentary experience, but you have to have felt it. So doing it longer is important when you can. But I hear from so many Native Americans, and in my own direct experience, that life is just wanting to work with us. These great energies of earth and sky, of all beings on this planet and beyond this planet. We are not alone. I keep being given that message over and over again. We are not alone. That's the prison we've been in. So we can open to the world, and the world is there not only to show us its pain and suffering, but to show us we're here for you. There's so many practices for this, but start with this of just understanding you are not alone. None of us are. And our companions, our energy companions, our physical beings, and all other beings here on the planet, they are with us. And they're waiting for us. We're the ones who disappeared. They never did. They're the ones who are just saying, well, if you come back, we're right here. And I've spoken so many mystics about this, and I have it so deeply in my own experience. So I really encourage you to to start to open, if you haven't already, to every support, conscious beings, sentient beings, invisible beings, and planet Earth energy that's available to us. So I want to say one more thing about the nature of the universe. That is why it's possible to look at our gifts and to know that other beings are just waiting for us to wake up and realize we are with all my relations. We are with other sentients. The universe is generous, not as a moral choice, but because the basic unit in this universe is relationship. Energy has to meet energy to be visible or to be useful. So you know of the Hadron Colliders, these incredible pieces of machinery, so that physicists can see how two particles, which are not visible, how two particles, when they collide, become visible. Nothing living lives alone. And here we are, struggling out of this false sense of individuality, false sense of I need to do it myself, or this false sense of it's up to me, and that I show my love and compassion by just driving myself ill to illness. The universe is generous because relationship is the only way the universe knows to exist. Absolute fact. It can be demonstrated scientifically, and you can think about it in your own relationship with yourself. You become something different in each relationship, right? Each relationship calls out something in you. Sometimes it's horrendous how we become with certain people. And sometimes we surprise ourselves that we're so compassionate and so open and eager to be in this relationship. We don't know who we are until we're in relationship. And all I'm saying is that in this generous, gifting universe, we need to rely on that fact that we are already in relationships. We have been given gifts so that we can be in relationship and offer them to people. So this question of gifts, I'm just going to tell you a quick story from Malidoma Some's work in Burkina Faso, which is now a country in terrible, terrible conditions and economic and with terrorists. But he said that when a woman announces she is pregnant, the first question the community asks itself is, who is this one who is coming to us? What does this new child, why is he or she coming to us at this time? And then they create a name. Now you just contrast that for half a second with how we treat the announcement, these, gender reveal parties. It's not about what is the gift this new baby is coming and how shall we name her. So indigenous cultures, divine feminine cultures knew this and are still trying to hold on to it now. But it's a lost memory. And I do believe it's our work to bring it forth. And this is what Joanna did. And so I want to, as our last exploration together, the way to honor a teacher is to embody the teachings. Anytime a student comes to a spiritual teacher and says, "What can I give you?" I'm so grateful. I'm bursting with gratitude for what you've shown me and how my life has changed with you. What can I give you? And the teachers always say, "Give me your practice. Give me your practice." So my question for us all is, we need to be together in new ways. I hope I've given you a taste of that. And it's up to us to be responsible for how we now enter into a group and how we contribute. We move from taking to offering. That's the basic gesture now. How do we move into what can I offer? What can I give? What can I contribute? But with discernment, because you can't help everybody. And Joanna gave us so much that I want us to be in the question now, right now, which of Joanna's gifts can I now embody, not talk about, not feel blessed by, but what of Joanna's gifts and her ways of being will now be evident in me? So that when people get to know me or are working with me, they'll see something of Joanna, even if they don't know her work, you know her work. We are all legacy holders of Joanna Macy. And the simplest way to take on that role, which is the Shambhala warrior role, with our gifts of insight and compassion, but the simplest way to move forward as a legacy holder, as an offering, as passing it on, what you receive from her that you now offer to wherever you are, whoever you're working with. Given the state of the world, which is fulfilling the Shambhala warrior prophecy with increasing speed, mind-blowing speed, overwhelming speed now, which of the gifts you receive from Joanna will you now embody in your work? So let's just take a minute. We're going to go into dyads because giving voice, a declaration, is so essential. When you're doing any kind of spiritual work, which is just we're grounded in the mystery of source of life. And we know we have gifts to offer. And hopefully you'll think about that more going forward. But now, how will the gift of Joanna Macy show up in what you offer? So I'd like to give you a minute to name that before we go into naming it to one other person. But giving voice to it is really essential. So we'll take a minute for that. How will you now, what will you embody that you got as a gift from Joanna Mason? Just think about that for a moment. One thing, just one thing. So even if this is not well formed, use the next 10 minutes in a conversation to do two things. If you can state clearly or vaguely, how will I now embody a gift that I received from Joanna Macy? Share that, talk about it with each other. This is just with one other person. And please do this with somebody, because giving voice to it gives it a different reality, a different energy structure in the world. Okay. So please go into the dyads and you'll have 10 minutes for this. And 1 hour and 50 minutes of being together. And in my remaining time, I just want to emphasize, underline, and send you off with, I hope, some clarity. So, as I said, the timing of this made it such a joyful opportunity to bring Joanna alive in you, especially for your work going forward of taking the Shambhala warrior prophecy seriously, understanding it is this time. And that is a big, bold, courageous step forward. But it's also a very noble role to actually want to serve, get out of your own agonies, which are profound for all of us now. But the way out of our despair, out of our depression, out of our rage, is to offer ourselves in service. And the role of the Shambhala warrior is just that. It's being willing and dedicated and open to the fact that I want still to make a meaningful contribution. The nature of that contribution has shifted from global to local because of dynamics that are out of control. There are so many prophecies about this time. I just find the Shambhala prophecy that Joanna gave voice to is so perfectly descriptive. Barbarian powers, weapons of mass destruction, and life hanging by the frailest of threads. And we are the ones we have been waiting for. What that takes is the one practice I gave you, which I hope you will do, is to understand we're not alone in finding the energy and the grounding and the compassion and the insight. We're not alone in offering ourselves, opening to the world, and stepping forward in service. But this is a big deal. This is a very big deal. This is not a trivial role. The role of a spiritual warrior, which has existed in all cultures, are those who protect and defend in the human spirit and the spirit of all life. So I hope that you will really contemplate these things further and step into this role. And the way you do it, the way you manifest this role is through your gifts, and understand, yes, we were made for these times, and we have now entered the field of engagement. The other theme here is we need to be together in entirely new ways. Some of us have experienced this a lot, some not at all. And we're all in meetings with other people who are frantically self-preserving. So they're easily angered. They're not reasonable because when you're afraid, you're in the amygdala. And in the amygdala, the only way you can act, I'm just giving you neurophysiology here, the only action that comes from the amygdala when we perceive we're threatened, the only action is aggression. I find that fascinating and very descriptive. So the aggression you see in others, the aggression you feel in yourselves, the aggression at meetings, the aggression in public places, this is all because people are imprisoned in this very autonomic, reflexive part of the brain. We can be different because we know the root to awakening our human capacities. The root is consciousness, it's awareness, and it is compassion and insight. The moment we humans, the way to tune in and use our full human brain capacities, our generosity, our creativity, our awareness, our kindness, those gifts are from the frontal lobes. We know how to do that. We know how to settle. I hope all of you are meditating at this point because it's a necessary place to dwell. But whatever you're doing that relaxes you is a way of tuning in, changing your brains, actually. And I think that's very clear to a lot of us now. So as I said, I'm now working on how do we create a whole different environment, a field that will be filled with our co-learning that then manifests as wisdom so that we know what to do. And we know what to do because we were together in the basic unit of the universe, which is relationship. So there's a lot here. There's a lot that I've put on my website, so I encourage you to go there. It's a whole library at this point. And I just want to close by reading a poem that I wrote many years ago as we were gathering together around discovering we were warriors. We never know who we are. And this is strange, isn't it? Or what vows we made, or who we knew, or what we hoped for, or where we were when the world's dreams were seated in us. Until the day just one of us sighs a gentle longing, and we all feel the change. One of us calls our name, and we all know to be there. One of us tells a dream, and we all breathe life into it. One of us asks why, and we all know the answer. It is very strange. We never know who we are. So, in honoring my dear friend Joanna and in honoring all of you for the road ahead, I offer my biggest blessings possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Meg. It's been a pleasure to be with you today and to receive your teachings, and just all blessings to you.
Thank you.
We've put in the chat a link to Meg's website so you can learn more about her work there. And I just want to thank everybody else for being here too. Thank you so much for joining us for this Work That Reconnects Network Webinars and Conversation Cafe program event. We invite you to fill out the feedback survey that we're posting in the chat there. This is an anonymous form. If you want to connect with us, if you want us to connect with you, you can add your name and email to address, but it doesn't collect it. So you can just share with us what you need to share with us about this experience so that we can continue to improve our offerings. And then we also want to let you know that just in a couple of days, on Tuesday, August 5th, we're going to be hosting a celebration of life for Joanna Macy. And I think, Frida, do you want to pull up the slides? There we go. Just so you can see.
Sorry, I'm having a little
Beautiful.
bit of an issue with the slide, but I thought I'd pull up the
Oh.
event itself.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, so there's a link to this page here, so you can register for one of these events if you want to. We're holding it at 2 different times because we have such a global community to allow for time zones. And we're also really excited to announce our lineup of other webinar program offerings throughout the year. We've got a great lineup of different interesting gatherings, so you can follow the link, I think, in the chat. I can't quite track all what's happening in the chat. Yeah, there it is. To go to this page to see all of our offerings. And then if you're not already, we invite you to become a community member of the Work That Reconnects network so that you can just stay more in tune with what we're doing, learn more about the Work That Reconnects, have these types of experiences to support your work in the world and the ways in which you're carrying Joanna's gifts forward. So thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure to be with you. And I'm just gonna open up the chat all the way if anybody wants to throw some messages in there, some thank yous or anything of that nature. You can, the chat is now open. Okay, thank you so much, Meg.
It was a blessing to be with you.